Hey guys, Detective Fail here. Hope you're doing well. Back with another review, this time on Arcadian Atlas. Let's get started. One look and you can see the clear resemblance to the inspiration it wears on its sleeves, Final Fantasy Tactics. As someone who loves Final Fantasy Tactics, hearing about an indie RPG attempting to reach similar heights as that one caught my eye, and I've been watching their development closely. However, I should preface this, I won't make any comparisons to Final Fantasy Tactics since I feel not everyone has played the title, so I'll try and judge the game for what it is rather than what it aspires to. First, I believe developers find difficulty to create a title where you have a clear inspiration while not retreading familiar ground. For better or worse, other titles walk the road most traveled too closely, while some merely use it as a base and go off in their own direction. Arcadian Atlas, I think, takes the middle ground while striving to develop their own identity in a low fantasy medieval story in homage to the classics of old, especially from Yasumi Matsuno's works. You control two protagonists, Vashti and Desmond, two lovers caught up in a civil war that threatens to shake the very foundations of the continent. I found the story to be mature, holding nothing back during the war and hitting nuances I don't see that often regarding choices, emotions, duty, and more. Lore-wise, the added compendium is appreciative of giving background on the world, importing characters and events, where the writing delves into a nice balance between seriousness with humor at times to lessen the gravity of affairs here. It is well placed. These strengths splinter down to the cast, which I'm surprised to see how small they are, but allow our cast, both main and villains, to shine. The protagonists are not overpowered at all or hateable from the get-go. There is a careful precision to keep them within the realm of believability without sending me into a volcano of overriding my suspension of disbelief. A good amount of class variety here, being 12 different classes, and all of them have multiple skill trees to specialize in. I was able to have a raccoon archer, a ronin, sorcerer, inquisitor, and shaman available, and so much more. Each had their own strengths and weaknesses, but for the most part, they all felt strong enough to tide me over against my enemies. The gameplay starts with some mandatory battles early on before granting you the ability to move around the world map and accept contracts. Think of these like side quests for money and gear rewards. There is even an exclusive side quest chain here I found to be amusing, so I recommend players finish these off if they require money or seek the unique side quest chain. Decent tunes to go along as you combat your way through various maps. The sax in particular I didn't get tired of hearing. And considering how short the game is, well, to be fair, not too short, I was able to complete the game within 11 to 13 hours, which I feel is just the right amount of length. Didn't want to go through 40+ hour campaigns where the pace moves at a snail's pace. It should be noted my time to complete the game should not be stated as consistent with everyone's playthrough. It could be an outlier. Moving on, I felt the pace was quick and didn't take too long to reach the heart of the matter for plot beats. Didn't experience any bugs or crashes either. This helps tremendously since battles can be completed within 10 minutes on average, at least on normal difficulty. For me at least. I did have some mixed feelings here, not a positive or a negative, but for the sake of transparency, I'll note them down. I wish the compendium would be updated to periodically show new changes to a character's background concerning events that go on in the main story. This would grant more importance to the compendium while adding context when needed. Not much room to experiment with classes due to how experience is calculated. Bit untraditional, which I like, but here every time you finish a battle you gain a level that coincidentally grants you skill points to allocate. I like the removal of grinding, although this doesn't allow much room to go out of my way to go beyond the base and advanced classes and experiment since there are no repeatable filler battles to test them out. Sure, I could use contracts, but those are limited within each chapter. could have used more objectives besides defeating all units. There are more than a handful of uncommon ones here: travel to this tile, escort, etc., though these are few and far between the regular. Some spice would have been nice to goals here to not make objectives too repetitive, back to eliminating every foe. Also, I think some more flashbacks to the villain would have been welcome as a more show don't tell approach to flesh them out more, and perhaps to a lesser extent our protagonists. Lastly, I believe contracts could have been made more interesting beyond killing everyone. Grant us rare units instead of filler ones, give us more side quest chains, expand on the world with lore, characters, etc. I could say more, but those are minor nitpicks not worth mentioning, and the developers of Twin Otter are already working hard to fix them in hotfixes and patches. Overall, Arcadian Atlas displays a serviceable amount of gameplay and classes, delving into interesting scenes during the Civil War without holding your hand throughout, all while delivering a bug-free, at least for me, and crash-free experience that doesn't seek long hours to complete. I can't help but appreciate the close attempt to conceive their take from looking up to Final Fantasy Tactics, and for that I respect it and look forward to the future when this title is cleaned up of some minor imperfections. I admire the attempt to construct their own game while balancing enough nostalgia to design their own identity. A long 7-year development cycle with a Kickstarter budget. 2 people only deserve praise in my eyes. And in my opinion, it's a good indie JRPG I recommend for those testing the waters for indies and Japanese role-playing games alike. Anyway, that's enough for me. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and take care.